Hi everyone. I wanted to get back on because I was just feeling like reminding us all that our to trust in our soul's own vibrancy. That vibrancy, people talk about staying, getting in alignment, getting to a higher vibration. That lives within you. It lives within your cells. It lives within you. And again, like I was speaking about a couple of days ago, self-reverence as, maybe that was just last night, self-reverence as faith. Trust, we can trust our joy. A good friend says that. We know our own joy. That's Ariel Guy. And then I love what Sarah Verba said about the this moon coming up, that I can't remember exactly how she phrased it, but I got from it sort of a soft capability. There's a dreaminess, and then there's an actual, they aren't binary, the dream and the work. This card reminds me of that. These dreamy works, such joyous satisfaction in them. That's the Seven of Pentacles from the Happy Tarot. So, yeah, I mean, this is an intense week. It's an intense week. I love everything that Lorna Bevan at here at the Moon Astrology sends out in her reports. You can find her on Facebook or on her own site. Just amazing, her 5D astrology reports. And also Lisa Einhorn, what she is saying about the sexiness of Saturn actually moving forward now. Not just that this is some kind of drudgy work, but like joyous work. And then Amber White, she was saying in one of her recent videos how we're at the threshold. This week is like a threshold. And sometimes at the threshold of a breakthrough is when you just want to give up. And I felt that way. I kind of was feeling that way last night. I had a rough time after I made that video about self-reverence. I was purging a lot of stuff. Oh, also check out Awakened Warrior-S. Okay. Anyway, so after all that, though, I woke up with this sense of joy, like freeing. I'd let a lot out. And I mean, I've been working on this for decades, but anyway, so I got out for a little reading. This belonged to my grandma. This my youngest daughter made when I started doing the Instagram. My first deck was from my best friend from high school. She went away to college and brought that back. Did my first tarot reading. We're moving into, when I was doing the small readings for every sign for September, and I'm going to do longer ones too at the new moon and the full moon, but in the dream space, and we're talking about making the dream real, the dream being part of reality, occurring with reality as part of it, and how we inhabit that and make that. Some of what I just said was appearing with reality as part of it. That's from the poet Leslie Scalapino. Anyway, in the dream space, for at least 3 signs from 3 different of my decks, Justice was in the dream space, and I think that really just speaks to how we're moving wholly as a planet into this stark, into and through this stark. I'm starting to use stark for light and dense for dark, and they both have, a tenderness and a solace to them, and also, kind of a bracingness to them. And here we go, we're going, the way we're moving these days is very intense astrologically, and very amazing time to be, and things that are happening in society, and it's all extremely intense, sort of like that threshold that Amber spoke of. And we're all moving through it together, doing our works, holding and caring, but not clinging, you know? And in these soft spaces where we need rest, we rest, and we're not overwhelmed by stimuli. We take it as where it honestly brings us joy. Yeah, and being serious can be fun, and you know, we're all here together. So, you know, in my years, I have, you know, felt a part of what I've been drawn to read about is the twin flame. And so, you know, but not wanting to release binaries, not wanting to be in that, which is what that is in a deep way partly about. But anyway, so I like to call mine sacred androgyny readings. But also in my life, you know, as a woman, I've certainly been very interested in the feminine, images of femininity, images of the femaleness, archetypes, stories. You know, okay, so a lot of people I know are going through a hard, you know, just really feeling challenged at this time. And I think it is in leaving behind. I was rereading something Lorna Bevan wrote back in December when Saturn first went into Capricorn, and it's about like letting go of the ways that you felt you had to behave and understand yourself in order to be loved, in order to be accepted, really in order to survive. And there's an eagerness to cut through these, but it does take time, and it takes care to heal, you know, and also to allow the Rumi quote that everyone has, like to let go of all the walls you've built against love, because love is just flowing within you and every other being. You know, Einstein, you know, such a one as he said that was the greatest force in the universe. So, but allow, you know, don't be overeager. You know, don't wear yourself out before it's even begun. And trust, that's about trust, really. Trust. Amor is a sign that someone is looking at you with great love and longing. But we're adjusting into a place where none of us need lack. We really don't. The poet Anne Boyer speaks about how, you know, humanity, most of what we are is just hilarious and wonderful, and then this small percentage that just brings us and binds us to lack and sorrow and injustice. And I don't know, I guess I'm encouraging us all within having faith in ourselves to also have faith in each other. I think it's the only way through. Not even sure I'm saying anything new, but I wanted to read you the story of Lady Godiva here in this Venusian light. So let me get the book. This is from the Mother's Wisdom deck. I never really knew the exact story of Lady Godiva. Anyway, they have her standing for humility with the shadow side being arrogance. A medieval English noblewoman and mother who could not turn her back on the hungry cry of any child. Lady Godiva comes to you bearing the strength of humility. She witnessed how people suffered under her husband's heavy taxation and requested that the tax be lifted. In return, the Earl issued a seemingly impossible ultimatum. He would answer his wife's plea if she rode nude on horseback at midday through the streets of Coventry. Covered only by her hair, Lady Godiva won the challenge, not by wielding a sword, but by yielding her pride. Take a moment to imagine yourself in Lady Godiva's saddle. A mature, aristocratic woman, you are relinquishing the layers of reputation and finery that normally protect you. Your fears and vulnerabilities lie naked and raw. What will you need to summon in order to ride forth? Lady Godiva greets you this day, urging you to consider how your true power can manifest through humility. Like humanity, the word humility stems from the Latin root humus, earth, and speaks to our inherent human dignity. Humility asks us to stand confidently in our basic nature, stripped of all pretenses. Motherhood pulls us to this place. There are no masks we can put on that won't be exposed by our mistakes or pulled off by our children. What might happen if we bare ourselves completely? Fearing the worst, we hide in the shadow of arrogance by belittling others, or we pretend false humility by belittling ourselves. Have you judged other mothers or their children to make yourself feel better, only to end up feeling more depressed? Do you ever whine, "I'm a terrible mother," hoping someone might rescue you with praise or pity? Lady Godiva reminds us that in order to serve the greatest good in your highest self, you must set aside the ego and reveal your empowered humanity. Whether you ride a high horse or the pity train, get naked. You do not have to be the best. Just give of yourself with a pure heart. You do not have to be perfect. Far better to be honest. How can you divest another layer of conceit? Mothers cannot survive without calling for help, though we often fear this may be a sign of weakness. To the contrary, it is a strong and simple act of humility. In asking, you acknowledge that you too need support. In receiving, you bless the giver by recognizing the value they offer. Lady Godiva teaches that the sweet roots of humility are uncovered when we honor each person as worthy, and all of us in it together.